nostalgia, memories, growing up in Central Florida in the 1990s. What a bunch of sappy crap. It's the Sappy Crap Podcast, starring Steve Bauman and Jarman Day. Welcome to the Sappy Crap Podcast, where the names are changed, but the stories are real. I'm Jarman.
I'm Steve. That's right. The stories are real, or at least how our shaky brains continue to keep them. At this point, they're just stories, kids.
I like that. My brain feels shaky right now. That's true. We're here to tell stories that only two longtime best friends can.
So join us as we take a trippy tiptoe down memory lane. And Jarman and I knew that when we started this show, that we were going to end up talking a lot about sort of fumbles with girls.
Yes.
Just sort of, because that's just a huge part of the high school, middle school, and adolescent experience.
It sure is. And an ongoing theme as well with this show while we're recording during a pandemic is that I can't imagine what flirting is like right now for teenagers.
Oh my God.
With half of them being home for school at home and a COVID business. So we feel for you kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So this week we are talking, as Jarman mentioned, about flirting. And to open it up, Jarman, I wanted to ask you, when was the first time that you had the realization that a girl was flirting with you?
So the earliest I can remember is probably fifth grade. There was a girl we'll call Jenny, and she had the same birthday as me. And when you're in fifth grade, that means a whole hell of a lot.
Oh my God, you're made for each other.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we're fated to be in love, and it's the first time I'm getting my bearings as hormones are first starting in fifth grade, and
pistons just getting going.
Yeah, but I had an innocent crush on her, and I noticed talking with her like other kids, like we always did. But suddenly I noticed there was something extra with her conversation with me, that she was like really into me, like not just as a friend, maybe something else. Is that what that's about? And I was just figuring it out. And so we dated, as it were, in fifth grade because we held hands and stuff. And I had my first, I don't call it my first kiss, but like a first peck in the pool party we were at once. And I was just like, oh my God. And then we went down the slide at school and they said that meant we were married. It was really cute.
That's right.
And her and I just stayed, good acquaintances throughout the rest of schooling. But I remember it actually ended because Jenny kissed, like a full-on kissed a guy in sixth grade when we went to sixth grade.
Oh,
and I was like,
man.
Oh, this is over. This is over. So that's my first experience with flirting.
It's over. And you pumped your hair and walked away.
That's right. So what was your first experience with flirting?
Mine, there was this girl who was sort of friend of friend. And we chatted a lot online, as we talked about last week in the early days of the internet, when you could type and be perfect and like say the smart right thing most of the time because you had time. And me and this girl, Catherine, we'll call her, went to we had been chatting for weeks, and then I got invited to a party that was not one I would normally have been invited to. And in retrospect, I think I was invited because of her, realistically. It was with a crew I didn't really hang out with.
What grade was this?
This would have been eighth grade. This was the summer before ninth grade.
Oh, big time. Okay.
Big time. Right. Like, what a pivotal summer. So this is that summer. We talk a lot. I get invited to this party. We go, her and I like chat and are having fun. And this girl, Catherine, and I don't know if you remember her, she was very, very cute.
Yeah. And
very smart. And later on went on to be just a full-on fox. Just realistically, just a full-on fox. And she was at that time what I would have considered so out of my league that I wasn't nervous around her because I didn't even think it was a possibility.
Right. I know the thing. I know how that is.
Like, it's worse around girls you think you have a chance with.
Absolutely.
Than it is around ones that you don't have a chance with. And she was one of those girls. So I was able to be funny. And I remember that we talked a lot and laughed a lot. And at the end of the party, I remember I had to go and get to my bike because I had to get home by like 9 or something on my bike. And she came out front with me and like said goodnight to me. And in retrospect, now I look back and I'm like, oh, I should have like fished for a kiss. Like that was that. Like she was into me.
We were just clueless.
There is no other reason why those events would have happened unless she was into me and I didn't make a move. And I remember like later in that weekend when the party happened, hearing through the grapevine that people thought that we had been kissing or something.
Oh.
Because someone heard she had a crush on me.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember going like, oh, do I call her? Do I talk to her? Oh my God. and then going to camp like the next day for a week. This is being a 13-year-old angsty trying to get it. So I remember being like, it's okay. She's still going to like you when you get back.
Nah, a week is like a year.
Back, right? I started chatting with her and I was like, so I heard you had a crush on me. She's like, I did. I'm like, did? She's like, yeah, but that was a while ago. I'm like, what do you mean?
The tide changed quickly.
It could be that way again. She's like, I don't think so. I was like, okay.
Missed your opportunity.
But at the time I was just so clueless because I didn't even register that there was a chance it was going to happen.
Well, a very similar thing, like you mentioned about not even being nervous around a girl you think you have no chances with at that age, was a girl in our drama department we'll call Constance, who I thought was just beautiful. She was 2 years older. And I would hang out with her in the plays we were in. And Steve already knew her before that because he was in theater for like a year before I was.
Oh, yeah.
And then I find out while I'm at your house while your brother is there through some kind of text message from her best friend that she had a crush on me. And I was like, what? And I think I told this story a little bit in the last time we talked about dating because it took me by surprise. And because I was just so clueless to those signs for someone I thought was totally out of my league. It wasn't.
She was 2 years older and she was way more attractive.
She was beautiful. And so I was
it's just the reality.
I was like still super skinny and nerdy and like just like never even imagined that was a possibility. And then it blew my mind.
I'm not saying you're an uggo or anything. I'm just saying she was gorgeous.
Exactly. Still a beautiful woman to this day, but I'm actually still friends with her to this day. She's a great person. But so that was an example of just like missing flirting entirely because we didn't know how to do it yet, you know?
Here's something I remember about that scenario that you and I had really struggled with. So you ended up dating Constance, and Constance had this really good friend called Rebecca. Mm-hmm. And Rebecca dated this kid who for a long time you considered like your arch nemesis. And you guys dated these girls at the same time. And because of that, ended up spending a lot of time together.
That's right. I couldn't stand that kid. And since we're not using names here, that kid got some karma in his direction because later on that kid went to work for a politician, like either a state representative or a senator on a national level, not on the local level. And
he got caught up in some stuff.
He ended up stealing money.
He made some bad choices.
Stealing money from the politician to use for him and his girlfriend. So karma comes back around, but he's not a terrible person. It's just that he's
got a kid now. He's getting on with his life.
Yeah, I hope he's doing well now. And he was kind of a jerk back then, and he was my arch nemesis. That's absolutely correct. I forgot all about that.
Him and I had ups and downs because him and I had kind of different relationships because we had like him and I went to church together.
I forgot about that.
And so we had sort of that side. And then when we got to school, it was like a very different dynamic. And then through theater, we ended up hanging out more and becoming, I would say, friends.
Right.
And while a lot of people had a bad flavor of him, I always sort of was a proponent.
Because you saw a better side of him, I'm guessing, from church and everything.
Yeah. And and not only that, but even because he was very involved with student government at the time.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
But it was one of those things where people didn't necessarily like him, but I knew that if he got it, he would work the living crap out of it. And that's why I always voted for him when he ran for stuff, because I knew that he would work the living crap out of it.
It's like he was almost trying to get along with every group by being snarky and kind of that sarcastic kind of guy. And just as a consequence, kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. But he still kind of made his way into most groups, like the popular kids and then the drama dorks and that kind of thing. So he kind of
was like us. He floated.
He floated, but just in a way that made everyone kind of uncomfortable. But yet he still made his way into those groups. It was very strange. That's what those dynamics were back then.
Man, stories we didn't think we were going to tell.
Exactly.
Yeah, you ended up spending a good amount of time with him.
But I really didn't want to.
I got to tell another story, and it's on topic. Never mind. It is on topic.
Perfect.
Oh my God, it's on topic. I didn't even realize until I just thought about what the story was. So there was one night where we went out to Steak and Shake, and I was the fifth wheel, which I had become accustomed to, because there was a while where you were dating Constance and Rebecca was dating Bill.
Mm-hmm.
So they were always together and you guys were always together as the two couples. And I was always like the tag along.
Yep.
Because I never had a girlfriend. So we're at Steak and Shake, like late on a Saturday or something. And we're on a table. I'm at the end of the booth. And another group of young people, maybe 6 or 7 of them, come in. And there's a few couples, and there's a girl at the end of the table who looks like I'm in her league.
And she appears to be by herself, like she's not with one of the guys. She appears to be
by herself. She doesn't appear to be attached to anybody. She's a little chubby and cute. And so I shoot her a few smiles. And I think she's smiling back. But then she starts talking to people at the table, or someone notices and they start talking, and I can, from my end of the table, I can see this is going bad.
Uh-oh.
And so I remember one of the guys came over and said something, and I remember, so this is tough when you're young. When you're young and you know how to speak sincerely and eloquently, people think you're being a dick.
Yes, I had that problem my whole life.
So I remember, and I don't remember this, I remember genuinely apologizing, saying like, I am sorry if I made you uncomfortable. I'm sorry if you were with someone. I did not mean to offend you. That was not my intention. And I remember that just amped them up. So we go to leave. They quickly check out. And then all of a sudden we're going out to the car and they're pulling their car in behind us so we can't leave.
Ugh. Yep.
I've made no threats on anyone. I have done nothing but apologize and try to like walk away from the situation. And I remember you were with me and I was like, Jarman, I don't think is going to get into a fight if this goes down.
I mean, I'd been in a couple of fights at that point, but I didn't want to get in a fight.
I think you'd be more likely to try to call the cops, like rational Jarman.
Possibly.
I think would work.
Because there were a lot of guys. There was like 3 or 4 guys.
There were 3 or 4 guys. I knew Bill would jump in, but he was not a big guy.
Pretty tiny.
And I knew Bill's girlfriend would jump in. I knew Rebecca would jump in.
She's a badass.
And go crazy.
She's a badass. And she always wore giant boots, too.
She was a tall girl, too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And so I remember taking off my huge brown leather jacket and straightening up and handing it to you and saying, looks like we're going to have a fight. And I turned around and squared up with this guy who I was 5 or 6 inches taller than.
Oh, yeah. Because you were 6'2" back then, right?
And just got ready. And I was probably 6 at that point.
At that point, okay.
5'11" or 6. So I just got ready. And these guys shaped up. And I remember one of their girlfriends finally like talked some sense into them. And they finally got in their car and went. And that was like the closest I've ever been to a genuine fight in my life.
Well, especially like 3-on-3, because like me and Bill were not going to look like losers in front of our girlfriends there in case something went down. So we were going to do something if we had to, but we didn't want to.
Maybe. But no. I mean...
No, all I remember is that I remember you straightening up because he was still talking shit. And then you straightened up all the way to your full height. And then he was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Yeah. For people that know me, I'm very tall, but I had a lot of short friends. And so I like just kind of got into this hunch to talk more normally with people. And so because of that, I can go from 5'10" to 6'2.5" in about a second.
And because you're the Bauman family trait of just a giant barrel chest. And so when you stand up, it's like, oh, there it is.
Yeah, there he is. But yeah, I just remember being ready.
Yep. That was a weird situation.
They were probably going to beat me, but my dad taught me if you have a reason to hit someone, you hit them so it hurts.
Oh, yeah. My dad taught me that, too. And try to hit them as hard as you can in the nose. They'll bleed a lot, but they'll be okay. And they'll scare the crap out.
Much more specific advice from your father.
Well, he'd been in a lot of fights. And he's just like, just punch them in the nose really hard. And then they'll bleed a lot. It'll scare them. And they'll go home. Whereas it's probably easily fixable. But, there you go.
Yeah, all because I was like flirting and making eyes at a girl.
And we made jokes for years after that saying, are you looking at me funny? Are you looking at me funny?
I remember Bill yelling like, can't go very far in life without looking at people. He just kept amping them up.
It was ridiculous. So flirting, I want to take this into college where I was suddenly not looking so like a skinny, sickly kid anymore. And I looked like more like an adult, and I was had more confidence. And then I was just flirting with anyone who I came in contact with. I was just like, especially if they showed a glimmer of interest, I just laid it on thick. And it was a terrible way to go about doing things. As a consequence, I ruined relationships I tried to have. I didn't have as many meaningful relationships as I would have liked during college. I'm happy that I did what I did so I can end up where I am now with my lovely girlfriend. But I think I wish I could have gone back and told people how to flirt. I told myself how to flirt back then, which is you don't need all this attention, and don't flirt with someone just because you think they're physically attractive, because also it won't usually get you very far. Like, especially if you're not like a male model yourself. It doesn't really matter as long as you're talking to someone that you can have inroads with, so that there's something that you genuinely have in common. Even if they're way more attractive than you, you'll have a conversation they're suddenly interested in, and you'll develop a natural relationship from there. And afterwards, you can use that for evil too, if you want to. You can just hit on girls that you know you have something in common with for the sole purpose of sleeping with them. That's terrible, but you can do that. And it works much better than what I see a lot of men, even to this day, my age and older, who are perpetually single because they flirt with anyone they just find attractive. And they're like, they wonder why they're still single. They're a good guy. And it's like, because you're not bringing anything to the table that interests that woman in talking with you further. And I wish I could have known that in my youth, and I would have been much more happy and successful. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Because that's the big thing, is always not out of your league, but just because they're attractive to you, you have to have something beyond that to flirt properly. Bringing it back to the topic at hand. I don't know.
No, I can think of one case of that in college, right? A girl who I had like kind of dated through a string of girls, where I dated one and then met her friend and then dated her and then had met this third friend, and it looked like we were going to date. We had gotten cuddly and that kind of stuff. And I remember that she was really, really smart. Like, I remember identifying immediately that she was way smarter than me, but not only that, she had such a different breadth of knowledge than me. She just had a lot more books in her, and a lot more classics, and a lot more stuff that I had no bearing on.
Different set of knowledge. Yeah.
Just a different set, like, because, you know, mine's like, I had old TV jingles and shit. Like, that's what I got kicking around.
Useful.
She had like Play-Doh and useful things. And I remember just constantly feeling like I was drowning and grasping at straws to try to like make it happen, when really I should have just realized, like, we have nothing in common.
Right.
And if I haven't found a road that we can meet on yet, then I just need to let go.
And that's the important thing you said there, let go, because some men think that that's a woman rejecting them, when no, it's just that you didn't let go when you're supposed to. You know,
right.
It's not all about you and you getting rejected. It's about, you're not supposed to be talking to this woman in that way. Maybe you can be friends, but you can tell there's no inroads and you're still trying. Why are you doing that to yourself?
Right. Well, in this case, though, like, things had gotten a little bit amorous. They said cuddly and those sort of things. So it's not like there hadn't been at least that interest.
And there's room for,
I was that unrequited crazy person.
Right. And there's room for hookups with people that you don't have a ton in common with. I mean, I've had my share of those, and there's value in that. It's just, don't act like it's a rejection when they don't love you, because it's like, there's nothing, right. You know, that's all I get upset about with some of my friends. Or men I just hear like on television or on TV show, like Big Bang Theory does it a lot with, we're rewatching that again, because and with Koothrappali, the character on there, he's just constantly getting upset because girls reject him. It's like, no, you just keep going after people that you have no business being with, not because they're out of your league, but you have nothing in common with them. I don't mean to harp on this too long, but it pisses me off.
I think my last story is about flirting that I turned down, which for high school Steve was probably rare. So there was this girl, I'm just going to call her Jane, because I literally, like, I can't even make up a fake name. I can't even change her name because I don't remember it. We had a few classes together in ninth grade. I think we had like beginners acting in ninth grade, and she was really tomboyish and had like crazy teeth, like those canines that come out real far. And I remember we had kind of talked and joked in class, and someone told me, she like had a friend tell me that she had a crush on me. And I remember I had no interest, like zero interest. And I remember for like a week and a half straight or 2 weeks straight, that bus that went from the ninth grade center to the high school, afternoon bus, like the activity bus. She rode on that for something. And I remember she would like sit near me and try to sit next to me and put arms around me. And I remember a couple times getting off the bus, her trying to like hold my hand and me dropping it and me just having zero interest.
That's pretty aggressive for a like ninth grader.
Zero
Oh my goodness.
interest. And that was that. But I remember like having to solidly just shut this girl down because I had nothing, like even ninth grade, like nervous, any girl, I just had zero interest.
Yeah. I mean, that happens. I think we can talk more about that on the crushes episode I want to do, because I think there's something different to talk about when it involves crushes, unrequited love on our parts, and people who had crushes on us that we weren't interested in. But
the overt flirting that I was like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah, the most overt flirting that I've had, because I obviously was in the theater department like you were, Steve, but not at a Christian school, was I mostly am friends with gay men and their friends and go to a lot of parties with gay people because I'm in theater and I love it. They're great. Almost all my guy friends in Orlando are gay and it's wonderful. But, through the years, I had a lot of people hitting on me because, first of all, I don't come across as the most machismo guy in the world, and I'm okay with that. And I also have a lot of gay friends. And so when I go to a party with all my gay friends, my married, friends, stuff like that, they assume, oh, he's probably gay too. And so that's the most unrequited flirting.
You just embrace your sacred feminine.
Yeah, that's exactly. My Gaia. But it's just, the thing is so many men are terrified of that. Like, but what are they so scared of? If a guy flirts with you and you're not gay, that's where it ends. Like, he's not going to attack you or something. You just say, and you finally have thumbs through conversation that you're talking. You can let go, like my girlfriend, or I really liked this girl, or put it out there, or just tell them straight up, like, hey, just so you know, so you don't waste your time, buddy. I'm not gay, because I'd want the same thing if I was flirting with a girl and she was a lesbian, and I was flirting with her for 2 hours and she never told me she was a lesbian. That would be kind of, but for people like Sean Vanderloo, that works out.
That's right.
but anyway,
in like middle school going to high school, I had like a year-long thing with this girl who turned out to be a lesbian.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Kat. I remember we talked like nightly, and she was with a guy and left him, and we talked and talked to me about dating, and went to a party and had a confusing kiss during Spin the Bottle, like you do.
Oh yeah.
And looked like we were going to date and then didn't. And then I remember her like being very open with me of like that she was questioning her sexuality in like the ninth grade. I remember her telling me this like on the phone, and me just not, I did not have the emotional maturity at the time.
Right.
To deal with that. And on top of get over the fact that she was basically telling me that she wasn't going to be interested in me.
Right. It's like two things at once.
Petulant 13-year-old Steve didn't have the emotional maturity to handle that.
Yeah, it takes a little more maturity and age to kind of just be like, okay, I'm going to step back from that, because you had a lot of feelings for her, It's hard to break that away. Yeah,
but it was just one of those things at the time. It's one of those things like, there's no way I was big enough to handle that.
So did you stay friends with her eventually?
Kinda. I mean, her and I spoke a couple times through the rest of high school, but really not after 10th grade.
Gotcha. What would your advice be to your younger self about flirting? Would you change anything?
So I think that we will I think have another episode that I think I'll just entitle catty, like cattishness.
Uh-huh.
Because you and I both had some very catty streaks.
Oh yeah. Meaning not catty like, oh, we're talking about people, but like
no,
cads.
like we're filthy whorish cads.
Yes, exactly.
Like that kind of cad. So I think we'll do another episode on that. But I think the really the lesson there is that like flirting can have consequences.
Mm-hmm.
And flirting can have emotions wrapped up in it.
That's right.
So don't do it flippantly or because you can. Right.
And I would say that even when I got a little better and got out of college and I wasn't such a cad anymore, I learned to be just friendly with women and appreciate them for who they were. Go figure, through years of therapy and understanding how my brain works. And the problem I encountered a lot is that almost any woman who I treated with that friendliness, they started developing a crush on me. And because so many men, I think, out there would never treat a woman that nicely unless they want to get in their pants, I guess. And so once I become a good guy, I was then thrown into temptation again, because people were like them professing their affections for me. I'm like, no, I just wanted to be your friend. I was being nice. But I probably was giving mixed signals by accident. It probably was my fault too, but it's just, that can be a danger as well. So it's because most men are terrible. So that's the way it goes.
I mean, yes, most men are terrible.
It's accurate.
Well, I think that brings us to the end of another episode of the Sappy Crap Podcast.
That's right. Do you know what we're doing next time? I don't know what we're doing next time.
I don't know what we're doing next time. We come up with it on the fly. Maybe something will happen in the world and it'll spring something up. Maybe we'll talk about our whorishness in high school. Maybe we can talk about contemptuous crushes.
Possibly.
Who knows? But join us here on the Sappy Crap Podcast.
Right. Thanks for joining us on this delightful stumble down memory lane.
And don't forget, the good old days weren't always that good.
This podcast was brought to you by A Play on Nerds.